Let's talk about downloading and installing and using the new 10.61 Haken Editor Beta version. This is beta, so do not download and install the firmware if you're in a production environment or you're playing a concert. There could be issues still in this software. But if you want to give it a shot, please go ahead. If you find any issues, you can open up a ticket at hakenaudio.com and tell us what you found, and we'll address it. Now, this firmware is required if you want to use the pitch table grids, the microtonal functions of the continuum, not available in 10.52 because of a bug. And you'll also need this firmware if you've ordered and want to use the new Haken Audio CVC that is Eurorack based. Other than that, most of the functions here are the same as the previous editor. Only a few new EaganMatrix functions have been added. So we'll go in, go to support, go to the editor and firmware section. You'll see a description of this telling you it's beta software, a list of the major features added. Go and bring up the download. There's download instructions that you'll use to install the software. We're going to talk about Windows right now, so we'll go to the Windows 10.61 link. We'll click on that. The file could be too large to preview, so you'll just download it. It's a big zip file. Okay, so we've downloaded that. That's a zip file. You can open that up and you can just put the contents of this in some directory. I have it in a directory called 10.61 beta. And when you pull that in, all you have to do is install these files. I have a couple of files here that we'll talk about later. If you have previously installed the Max MSP version, you might see your icon that you had before for the Haken Editor. You no longer need Max MSP. This is written in JUCE C++. So if you have Max MSP installed, you don't need that anymore unless you want to run some of the Max MSP overlays, perhaps, or you want to do some Max MSP work. So if you have Max MSP installed, it's probably the free version that you downloaded. Just keep it. It's not going to hurt anything, but you won't be using that when you run this editor. So all you have to do to run the editor is click the editor icon, and you might get this Windows Defender screen the first time. You can just run it anyway, and your editor should come up. Now, before you run the editor, you should connect all the EaganMatrix based instruments you want to support with the editor. This can be a slim continuum. It could be an older 2x or greater continuum, full size or half size. It could be the EaganMatrix module, the EaganMatrix micro, or the Continuum Mini. The editor will support all of those. Make sure they're connected and just click on the editor exe file and boom, it's up almost instantly. You're going to love this versus the Max MSP version because number one, it's a lot quicker to install. Even though it's beta, I think it's more reliable. When you exit it, you won't see a lot of zombie processes that you might have seen with Max MSP. So it's good that Max MSP is not there anymore. The first thing you'll notice is that this editor is, for all intents and purposes, identical to the Max MSP version. It's not intended to simplify the creation of presets. That's what the new overlay feature is for. And as the overlays come out, those will allow you to create preset sounds with the kind of button dial rotary methods that you might be used to with hardware or software-based synths. You'll want to go to MIDI and Global Settings and look at what your installed instruments are. Here I have kind of one of everything, but we'll pick one that is running something that is not 10.61. You're probably going to be running 10.52 firmware, maybe earlier. If it's 9.x firmware, I would contact Haken Audio to ask if there are intermediate steps you need to do to install your firmware. but this should work with 10.09 or 10.52 without any issues. So we'll pick a slim continuum here. You might see initializing editor system preset information. You'll see this warning if the firmware you have installed is not the level that you're going to install. Here 10.61. This happens to be 10.60 because I was doing intermediate beta testing. Yours will probably say 10.52 or 10.09, etc. Eventually, wait for the editor to sync up with presets. And now all you need to do to update your firmware is go in, update firmware. You'll see a lot of options here, but the first thing you want to do is update file 1. Do that to update my Slim 6X, which is what this is. You'll get a screen informing you of some information. Make sure you back up any user presets that you have stored because this will overwrite them. Moving forwards, there's a new feature that will archive all of your user presets for you and let you restore them easily. But that's not part of what you can do right now. So look at the screen and then just say update now and you'll get the normal download screen. Now, one of the things you'll see is the update is a lot faster now. Once it's done preparing itself for update of file 1, you'll see that the actual update itself is quite quick. It'll go to 99% right now, and then it will try and finalize itself, getting ready for file 2. File 2 installs all the presets. File 1 installs your actual operational firmware. You might hear a little bell. You can see things maybe get disconnected, and then you should get you require firmware file 2 eventually. If you don't get this and you're just sitting on an empty screen for minutes on end, file 1 probably did not install correctly. Open up a Haken audio ticket to get support there. So now let's update file 2. That'll install all the presets. You can see they're empty right now. Again, there'll be some preparation time, but the installation of the presets is also a lot faster now. They're stored as a zip file, and there's new code that will read and load them up for the new editor. There we go. You can see they're loading faster than before. This still takes a couple minutes to update your presets. There are some 600 plus presets, a couple changes versus 10.52, but for all intents and purposes, there aren't really any new presets installed, just a couple. All right, the presets are done loading, and now the presets will finalize, and eventually you should get a solid blue dot. You may see things disconnect and reconnect, and here the presets will be initializing for the new 10.61 firmware that you've installed. For continuums, you will go right to the opening screen. If you have a Continuum Mini or Micro, you may be asked to repower your device, and then you should get back to our opening screen. Everything's been installed now. New presets are active. At this point, to be safe, install your convolutions. These now install much faster than before. So we'll install the first set of convolutions. You can see it takes virtually no time at all. Install the second set of convolutions. And you may or may not need to install spectral sets or modeling. That's a summary, but I would just follow the instructions that you get at the Haken Audio site for installation. Now, let's just go over a few of the new features in this firmware. Number 1 is the new group options. If you go to group, you'll see that you have save user group, you have clear 16 user presets, load demo assortment, you have open user group as well. You have Save User Preset Archive and Load User Preset Archive. These are the two new options that will allow you to save all 128 user presets and then reinstall them. This is what you'll want to do from now on before you load any new firmware, because file 2 will always overwrite your preset. Well, let's quickly see how do we use this. Let's say we want to create a preset group from Woodwind to Shango Bone. So we'll click on Woodwind, and the save group is always default active. So you don't have to actually go in and select save group anymore. Select the Woodwind as the first preset you want to save in a group. Then what you want to do is select the last preset in your group. let's make that Ishango bone. And what you'll do is you'll Alt-click on Windows or Alt-click on Mac on the preset you want to end your group. So I'll Alt-click that. A window will come up asking you to save your preset group. It will default the group to the name of the preset that was the first you selected. Here I already have one with that same name. So let me save it to a new name, new group.zip. That will go through and save that group. And now what you want to do to reinstall that group, what you can do is, let's just go to a empty set of user positions. Select the preset where you want to start that group from, and then you can go in and open a group. We'll go in, open the group that I had, and that should install the group that you had. We had from woodwind to Ishango bone, and here you can see it started installing that from the first preset, even though in the original it was the third. So you can do stuff like that. Of course, if I wanted to, I could have created a group with all 16. Here I Alt-clicked on the last one. All right, so now I'll say all group, save all those, and of course, if I go in and take an empty set, I'll select the first preset and I will open the group, my all group, and that should install all 16 of them now. And it does. One thing to note, if you try and install a group with more presets than the position you select, let's just try and install that group again. You'll get an error message, insufficient space available to accommodate all presets. That's the only thing you have to worry about in the preset group. Let's say we have our presets selected here. Maybe we'll add a couple of our own to there. And now to save an archive, all we have to do is select Save User Preset Archive, and you can give it a name, User Preset Archives.zip, or say My Archive, save. And that'll go save all 128 user presets. It'll be relatively fast if most of them are empty. There we go. So now what I can do is go here. Let's say go group. We'll clear the 16. We'll go to the second group. We'll clear those, say. We'll go in and load my archive. And that should go through all 128 user presets and install them very quickly. So there we are. Reinstalled my archive and I'm back to where I was. Really nice. One more thing you can do is you can drag a group file. Let's see, my new group. Let's say I drag that to the second position. That will install the group at whatever position you have as well. That's an alternate way to install your group. So that's one of the really nice new features that I think everyone's going to like. Okay, just a couple more things on the new editor. You'll see we have new master section offsets. Before, the first two columns were the index and mix of the pre-convolution. The two middle columns were only recirculator setting options, and the last two columns were post-convolution index and mix. Now, any one of these 6 columns can be set to any of the master section options to allow a much greater freedom of effect and master section programming. This probably is going to be more useful in overlays, but it's a nice new feature that gives you a lot more options on how you can program effects. By the way, there are no presets that use this right now, but obviously there will be some in the future. Another nice thing that's been added is the ability, and this is really important, using the continuum as a non-MPE controller, especially Continue Mini. You can take things out of MPE options, other, and then you can define what CC you want to output for pressure and what CC you want to output for Y. Can be any CC now instead of just the few options that were available in the previous firmware. You can also set a min and a max on the pressure or Y values that you're going to output with those CCs. A very nice new feature that you can actually set in the menu system of the Continue Mini, but for all the other instruments, if you want to use this, you have to set it in the editor. There are also some pedal options now where you can set a pedal to a CC, any CC you like, with the range settings that were available before. So that also is going to be useful when using the Continuum Mini as a MIDI controller. Now, a couple more things. Let's go in and set ourselves to a EaganMatrix Micro. This also applies for the Continuum Mini. There's a new function in the MIDI and global settings that allow you to set your pedal in the editor to be the pedal input or the CVC output. Before, you had to do this on the menu system of the Continuum Mini or the EaganMatrix Micro. Now you can do this in the editor as well. If you bring this up for one of the other instruments, this will say not available. If we reset ourselves back to Continuum, now with the Windows version, you can run two different versions of the new editor connected to two different instruments. You couldn't do that with the Max MSP version. You still can't bring up a DAW or some other device that uses the USB device you're using in the editor, but you can run two different editors connected to two different EaganMatrix devices now, which is nice. So if I go in and MIDI and global settings, you'll see that I have now only light and medium sensitivity. The other light narrow option is no longer available. You'll also see there's a new hysteresis option that's only really meant for continuums. This allows you to add some lag to the note on, note off of a touch. You normally, in addition to the actuation command, will not set these to anything but their defaults unless you have some EaganMatrix support ticket open that will tell you you should set it to something else if your Continuum touch is not responding the way you think it should. One other thing that's nice is if you go in and look at the help tooltips, they're more detailed now. Click one of the little circles underneath one of your columns. It'll give you information that is of value, easier to read. Those are the main things that are new to the Haken Editor C++ version. The main thing you're going to see here is it comes up very quickly. I think you'll find over time it's more reliable than the Max MSP version, and you can use those few new functions that we talked about.